Just thank you.
Well, in a half hour, I'll have to leave to go pick up my wife from yoga, but I just dropped her off. No, actually, today is my busy day when it comes to my dog and being a therapy dog. I go to visit. I take him to go visit children in a children's hospital in the morning, and then in the afternoon we go to an assisted living location where my mom is at, and we go visit all of the residents there. So I usually don't get back till about 5. I leave at like 9 in the morning. I don't get back till about 5. I woofed down a pizza. I made a pizza real quick, took my wife to Zumba, and here I am.
Yeah, been busy. I just noticed I've got my multicolor 3D filament waiting at the post office for me.
Hello? I almost didn't make it. Oh, I working a bunch of printers. I got a little deal coming up tomorrow and the next day to um well, I'll tell you guys this quick story. It might give you some ideas for local sales. So this- I went into this mall that has like a couple of those craft stores and they let people come in and rent a space and sell your stuff. Well, they were both full up for months. I mean, they got a waiting list. I'm like, darn it. So I was wandering around the mall and I happened to stop into the pet store, which would have never occurred to me. But I was kind of looking and I talk with them and I go, yeah, you guys, I got some of these 3D prints I trying to sell and I showed them a couple dragons and blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, we got to talking and it's actually a pair of two gals that own it together, and they just thought it was neat. And then they started asking about lizards and bearded dragons and all that. And I go, yeah, maybe that's what we do. And the next thing they know, I said, well, hey, we're doing this show. Why don't you do that? And yeah, we want to. So I'm going to try that tomorrow. And then they're probably going to go ahead and carry some of my items. So, yeah. Well, it's just something to make some local cash, it ain't nothing you can scale like that, but I just wanted to mention the pet store. I would have never thought of that. Yeah, so, yeah.
The pet industry is a big dollar value area. If you
Yeah,
could find, yeah, I
pets.
mean, the pet industry in general, people will bend over backwards to buy anything for their pets, and if you can make the connection, you'd be surprised how much uh, money there is to be made in that.
Uh,
Hello, everybody. Yeah, Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good evening. Hello there. Slow but good. Thank you. Yeah, well, that happens when you're retired. By the way, uh, just watching the news. David Muir down there in Florida. Holy shit. Boy, am I glad I don't live anywhere near all that mess. Oh my
yeah, that
gosh.
is.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Good to see you guys.
Well, that's the hard part, is a niche and a specific product that's not going to be so overwhelmed with competition that you can't get seen.
I use Etsy to buy things like tapestries from women in India who repurpose their garments, stuff like that, stuff that where I can't. Uh, I'm not a trinket person. I'm not an arty person, I guess. But I am a hippie from the 70s, so I love psychedelic stuff and Peter Max posters and things of that nature. So that's what attracts me to people who sell on Etsy. I don't know. I'm sure the general public is different from me, but I can say that if I was selling dragons, I don't think Etsy would be my target. You're right. I think Facebook Marketplace would probably be ideal because there is no overhead. It's like selling on Craigslist, only the audience is filtered a little bit better than the general public. Not by much, but it seems like Facebook Marketplace does a better job of filtering spam and non-essential crap, and I think that helps. The audience is there for that, whereas with Etsy, I think you're thrown into it's almost like Thunderdome. And for the effort, you have to spend most of your money on, and I think that's not part of my religion, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
No. What about just selling them on your own website? Yeah, yeah,
Well, oh, the thing is, it takes a while to really get a traffic to a website
yeah,
unless you're
yeah,
doing like Facebook ads or something, and then you probably better have something very unique that
yeah.
would incentivize them to come and visit, and then they got to buy. And in the past, I've taken marketing courses or things, and plus you got to deal with the logistics of tracking customers when you get an order and deal with all of that. I mean, you got to set up some kind of a service to deal with that for you and figure out postage and all of that. So
Yeah.
it's not for the faint at heart.
And I don't think it's a short-term answer. I think Robert's right. I think that there is potential there, but I think that people who are successful at doing that, especially with Shopify and places like that, it's something they start today and expect a return on the investment in 5 years. And some of these people have been doing it 10 years and they're still, a niche, and their struggle is real. So I agree. I think one of the things that strikes me, and I'm a computer person. I sit around all day long on the computer, and I spend inordinate amounts of time on it. And a lot of that time is studying and using YouTube. And I think some of the artists on YouTube, their shorts where they come in and they show you they're making an epoxy top table out of a 250-year-old tree, and you know they show you just how fantastic that work is and how specialized and expert they are at it. And those are the guys, and they've been doing it a long time. So they all of a sudden they go from 10 people to 100 people to 100,000 people who are watching their videos and are interested in their stuff just because they're so good at it, and those guys are selling product. But it takes time to do that,
Mm.
exposure. And
Those are what, hundreds of dollar products.
oh, thousands, tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or,
See, that's what I've been looking for, is a 3D printed thing that I could sell for $50 to $100, you know, something that, well, when you look at it, trying to sell dragons and all that stuff, by the time you print and with so much competition, and then you got to do the logistics of shipping. My goodness, that's a lot for, you know, who was it on there that Jesse or somebody on YouTube, the guy that does a lot of resin printing, he had a video. I just saw it a while ago. I made $30,000 on Etsy and paid all these like $14 in fees or $36,000 and $14,000 in fees.
Whoa.
And I'm thinking, wow, even if they were paying the shipping, that's got to be a tremendous amount of logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure Etsy's for us guys. I think for me anyway, I think most people I see who are successful, at least that are ambitious enough to show us on YouTube anyway, are established locally first, and then they break out, and then all of a sudden it dawns on them that, hey, maybe I can make a few bucks by videoing my I was going to say videotaping. I'm aging myself, but, you know, but you know, obviously those are people who are past our stage. You know, they're not getting off the ground. They're well on their way in their art, in their fields, in their crafts. I don't know. I think you hit the nail on the head with the Facebook Marketplace. I don't know of any other established way other than Craigslist, which is like still the wild, wild west. I don't think that's really viable, but I think Facebook Marketplace is, at least in my area anyway, you know.
Well, that you know, the philosophy is, the stuff I've read is to sell on places that people are looking to buy something. So yeah, that whole business of Craigslist or something, that's unlikely. You know, that's more of a, I mean, yeah, there's stuff for sale, but there's rentals and all that other. I haven't even used that in God, a couple of years now.
It's a place to offload your junk usually, you know.
Yeah,
unwanted crap. It's not. Yeah, I think it's not really viable, you know. By the way, your audio is much better tonight, Mike.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, point in case.
So what did you print that on?
This was on my 5 Plus. This was done all in one shot.
Whoa.
Right. Does without my glasses.
Whoa.
Guess did you paint? You painted it then?
It fits, Dominic. Looks good.
Did you paint that?
Yeah, this has been painted.
And then what's the faceplate out of it?
This here?
Yeah.
This? That was probably the most difficult thing to come up with, because I had to be able to see through it, but yet
Yeah.
not have people see me.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I ended up using a welding mask replacement plate, and then I just cut it and heated it up a little bit to bend it to fit. You know, you can't quite see it inside. Well, there you can see most of it.
Yeah. So to sell an item like that, you better get $100 or better, right?
No, something like this goes for about $300. Finished.
Okay, I was gonna say it's got to be a bunch. Yeah.
You know, and going back to cosplay, the interesting thing, I mean, this was the television show version. Um, there are so many others when if you go into cosplay, and you start looking at all the different versions, all of a sudden this one's been painted and it's got chrome paint on it. But there are ones where they're like army green, and they literally have damage done to them in order to look like they've been in battle. And guys will pay for that. And you'd be surprised how a damaged piece like this that had a problem with it. Well, I take my heat gun to it, or I take a soldering iron to it and finish messing it up, and then just paint it accordingly. The biggest issue, or the reason why these go for so much, besides the fact that guys like this kind of stuff, guys and women for that matter, is the mere fact that there's so much work put into it. I mean, you can't take it off your 3D printer and just say, here you go. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot of sanding involved, a little bit of puttying some places, depending on how good of a finish you want on it. These pieces on the side, these were printed separately, and then they were put on. The glue of choice is baking soda and crazy glue. You put baking soda, you put crazy glue down, sprinkle a little baking soda, and it becomes an instant epoxy, hardening literally on contact. So that worked out really well. Yeah.
Never heard of that one.
Printing alone was about, if I remember right, was somewhere around 28, 30 hours, something like that. And this, again, the helmet itself was printed all in one shot. Then there was these side pieces that had to be printed, the sanding and everything else. It probably took me a good week to finish the whole thing. I've seen them go for much more money. The Iron Man, as you mentioned, my partner who does all the painting for me, he's into Iron Man big time, to the point where his Jeep has got more Iron Man stuff on it in Stark Enterprises than the show. But he made a full size uniform, and he's put in electronics into it and mechanical movement parts where it's voice activated. The helmet opens up, all kinds of crazy stuff, and you start going into literally hundreds of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, sorry, from hundreds to thousands of dollars for a helmet alone, depending on how well you do the work on it. This one would probably go for about $300, $350. It's not the top-notch quality. It's, they actually sell ones that are made out of metal. But it's light, it's simple, guys will pay for it. And the lightsaber, the same thing.
I just found one of those, like you're talking about, damaged. I put a link in the chat.
And
yeah, for something, and then they got some variations and. Oh, this looks molded, I think. They're saying that comes out of the mold, so this is not printed. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I didn't catch that earlier.
The look of that quality could be 3D printed. It's
right.
But yeah, that too. That as well. Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to it doesn't have to look so great.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one thing that I've been asked about quite a bit, because when
when I've gotten in contact with a lot of people, um, I have not tried to sell them to cosplay people. The cosplay people, a lot of the cosplay people have that I haven't been in contact with, and that's through a fault of my own because I wanted to get information on how they went about printing it and think other guys that have 3D printers that are big into cosplay. Um, they do their own thing, but where I excel with them, unfortunately or fortunately, it's again, unfortunately, it doesn't have anything to do with 3D printing in super specific, but a lot of the mechanical parts, the guys want to know, well, how do I get this thing so that it'll open? What hinging do I need? What, and I would 3D print for them the mechanism connections, the linkages for their particular um, put together. But what I considering it took me a week just to do the helmet. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I would. It's it's hard to say. I'll be honest. It's hard to say whether I would want to sit here and go, okay, 52 weeks, I can make 52 helmets, and at $400 a piece, or even 300, 350. That's $15,000, I guess. I would think it might be a little bit better way to keep myself busy for 52 weeks. Yeah, well, I mean, I did a whole uniform and I didn't want to pull it all out because it's all packed away. I just grabbed the helmet. But I mean, I did bullet. They have these little bullets that go into a vest that he wears. I printed all of those. I printed the gauntlets. Much less work involved, much less time. So I think you know I think it's definitely got its value. Um, but I think if I was going to do something like that again, I'm into the customization, so I would probably go to somebody and say, okay, you want a helmet? Do you want the standard? Fine. If you want the standard, there's 1,000 different people that'll do the standard for you and put a website together or whatever. But if you told me, well, I want it to have something different, I would customize it, and then I would spend the week to do it for them. And of course, then I would be able to get a premium because now you'd be talking about five or six or $700 for that same item. Um, yeah, get back to your list. I'm sorry. Mhm. I like them. I got one more for you that you might want to try throwing in there, and that's the automotive. And when I say automotive, I mean custom automotive. I started making hood ornaments for for cars. I'm into Great Danes, so I made myself a Great Dane hood ornament. Um, and it just mounts on with double sticky tape unless I know exactly, unless someone's interested in putting a hole in their hood, then I'll put a bolt underneath it so you can put it on. Or and I also made, which I don't have any here. Most cars don't have them anymore, but my older car does, where the locks, the door locks go up and down. There's little heads of Great Danes on that have been screwed onto there as well. But there's steer the shifters. So a lot of times, again, this is more the old custom car type stuff, not so much your new cars. Although the hood ornaments can go on a new car if you really got, if someone was interested.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, repeat the question again. Um, Honestly, the car one intrigues me the most. I go to a lot of car shows where there's a lot of older cars. Sometimes they want some custom stuff. I want to put together a little card, and start going to some of the car shows and say, hey, if you're interested, and show them some of the stuff that I did for my own vehicle. Um, and it also can include sometimes parts that they can't get anymore either, door handles, switches, knobs on their radio, things like that. Um, Sometimes they're trying to restore a car and they go, I could never find the matching knob for this radio, type of thing. So for me, I definitely want to. I mean, I'm going into the winter now here in Jersey, so car shows are starting to disappear. But it's something that I think I'm going to try and think about and get more involved in come spring. But prior to that, prepare myself so that I have something to offer and see what these guys might be interested in.
Dominic, do you use ABS for your car parts?
No, actually, I use PET G.
Okay.
ABS is a nice strong material, or I'll use nylon. That's the other one that I'll use as well. But I found that ABS, if you don't paint it, some of these things you can get away without painting it, depending on what it's for. But if you don't put some kind of paint on ABS, UV will beat the hell out of it.
Oh,
It'll kill the color, make it brittle. PET G, I've done some hangers for myself on my fencing outside. So I just stuck the plant on there, hung them on there. They take the heat very well. And they just last. They're lasting out there for a while.
Have you tried ASA?
No, I have not. Not yet.
I printed a bunch of ASA and that works. It basically was developed to replace ABS because it's
Mm-hmm.
UV resistant. It's super tough. It's moderately easy to print. I've done quite a few things, and yeah,
hmm.
I'd recommend it.
Christian, you're muted.
Oh yeah, muted.
You're muted, Christian. Oh, wait a minute.
There we go. Yeah, Rick is the
Right.
name, by the way. Glad to meet you. No, I got a resin printer, and I'm doing a S-scale racetrack, so I wanted to save some money and print all the stuff I wanted. But one thing I thought I could sell, and I don't know, should I say, is 3D figures, printed figures, because S-scale there's hardly anything, and people are paying $8 a piece for those little things. You can get a bag of 100 HO scale ones for $15. Now, but $8 a piece might be worth doing, you know. Well, yeah, I'd put it on Amazon. You know, there's a whole market for railroad, model railroad. You know, it's a niche market. Something small and yeah. I only got it a year ago, and I just did some sample printing. It's 1200 or 1600 resolution resin printer. Elgoo, yeah, ELGOO, yeah.
Mm. I don't know. Mine, uh, mm, yeah, I do a lot of it electronics, and I think maybe electronic cases, little cases, custom cases would be good. Um, yeah, yeah. It's I haven't really got a niche. The one of the other things I was printing was little funnels for filling up spice jars. You know, the little spice jars where you shake the spice on your food. They've only got a very narrow top, and I made these little funnels which go in them and allow you to refill them. Um, they were good. I took them to one of our vendors meetings and sold them for a couple of bucks each. They sold pretty well. The other good thing that I've made is an adapter that you put into your soap container, liquid soap container for the bathroom, and you can invert the the bulk soap and let that fill up, so you don't have to worry about holding it there and filling it up. So things like that. That was a good one. But yeah, but I haven't really got an outlet for it other than in the vendors meetings and stuff like that.
Eric, on those funnels, Eric, you know what you could do is, I mean, I don't know what they look like, but if you put either, I don't know if you have a handle on them of any type, but if you 3D print a handle that looks like something, like whether it be flowers or dog heads or just something to grab it toward, yeah,
Yeah.
grab it towards somebody that goes, oh yeah, the funnel, it's useful, it's great, but oh my God, look, it's got a Great Dane head on it. I gotta have one of those.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I was printing as well was a refilling funnel for, the electric salt and pepper grinders.
Mm-hmm.
When you take them apart, it's very hard to fill them because they've got a center post sticking up. So my little funnel goes over that and allows them to be refilled as well very easily, which is yeah. But mm, mm, no.
Shark,
Mhm.
yeah, Shark Tank never fails to amaze me. The little things they'll come up with to meet a need, and they'll get, you know, $500,000 invested.
Yeah. Mm.
I don't really, because I'm just stepping out onto this whole process and thinking about it. One of the things that popped into my head while we're having this conversation is that years ago, I used to manage a bar, and one day we had a group come into our bar from, I don't recall, it was Ireland or a European country, and they were rabidly interested in old beer tap heads, the handles. And I had a whole box of them in the back, tap handles from various uh, major breweries and microbreweries, because we happen to be one of the first craft brew restaurants in the Pacific Northwest. So I had a whole box of them. And I was amazed at the prices these guys were offering for them. I didn't even think about a price on them. They were, I won't call them trash, but, well, I'm thinking about and listening to you guys, and I'm thinking, there's an idea. What if you made custom made tap handles with, a lot of people homebrew, and they also have their own favorite name for their favorite brew. And if you customize handles for them, there's something I thought might just take off. I can't believe there's not people out there already doing that. If there are, I'm not aware. But things like that, and the S model railroad stuff. I just Googled up that and looked at images, and that looks like stuff I used to have when I was in grade school, long, long time ago. I had an American Flyer Silver Bullet, Chris. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but uh, that's an idea too. But I see that the miniatures that are people are using are pretty intricate. They don't look like stuff you're just going to grab off the printer and sell. You're going to have to paint them, put details on them, things like that. That looks like more of a craft than just a one-off or a type of print that you could sell quickly and easily. Although I don't know what they're getting for those miniatures. They might be worth the trouble if people are paying, $20, $30 for a miniature. It might be worth the time to paint and go through that to get them market ready. But I think biggest hurdle I have at the moment, and like I said, I'm just stepping into this, and I'm slow as hell. I'm like the turtle that's getting to the finish line here. But I think my biggest hurdle is learning CAD and taking an idea that I have and actually trying to manufacture a model for it, or taking a model that's already been made and modifying it so that there's a bunch of models out there that are already taking, people have taken the pain to make them, but they're just not perfect for my particular use. So CAD is my biggest hurdle right now, and I'm learning, but it's like a thimble in the ocean. You're just, there's so much for every thing that you learn. It's just never ending, and of course there are all kinds of modals. You've got um, online CAD, you've got your Fusion 360, you've got uh, Open SCAD. There's just there's a dozen of them that are available. FreeCAD, Autodesk, you know. So well, I've tried, certainly, and of course YouTube is handy for that. But I'm old. I'm old, and I learn slowly, and I don't retain like I used to, and that's part of the problem. It's just like learning a completely new language. So it takes effort to do that, obviously, and I don't know how committed I am. Usually stuff like that falls in my lap. I've never had to really work hard to learn stuff like that, but I'm getting old, and it is not easy for me to retain what my short-term memory is not what it used to be. So to me, that's the hurdle that I need to get over. and get comfortable with, you know. Yeah, I have. I have used Tinkercad. It's still, that mystifies me, even. But you know, what am I trying to say? There are tutorials, obviously, and I think really my favorite one so far is Cutler, which is actually designed for cutters rather than for 3D printers, but the way it works overlaps nicely. So Cutter's one of them, or Cuddle, excuse me. Onshape is another one that seems to be smart the way it's laid out, and there are people online that use it and are articulate enough to help me understand how it works in step by step. But again, because those are specific uses, like they'll show you how to print. I think I showed you last week the guy that made uh, uh, the neon light design, where he takes you in 10 minutes and teaches you how to make neon rope lit font, and you know, they'll take you step by step through it, but they don't really, it's not comprehensive, if you know what I'm trying to say. So you know, they're though, and of course as I'm watching and learning those things, I'm ignoring 99.999% of the rest of the program. I'm just really getting this one tutorial of one way to do one thing. And I don't know. I guess, you know, there might be real Einsteins out there who absorb this stuff and keep it. And you know, if you're using it every day, or you happen to be sitting in a seat next to somebody at work who is expert at something on these programs, and you learn from them, because an over-the-shoulder teacher is the best teacher, in my opinion. You know, that way. I don't have that, so I'm basically at the mercy of what's on YouTube and my tolerance level for pain. You know, so look at it. Yes, of course. No, I wouldn't consider them especially complex. They're just multi-step uh, items. You know, you go in, you take a box, and you turn that box into I don't know, a seagull. All of a sudden, it's just like draw the rest of the fucking owl, if you know that meaning. You know what I'm saying? There's so many steps involved to do that. It's a hurdle. It really, for me. I mean, I maybe I'm alone that way. I'm left-handed and always have been kind of dumb that way. Used to drive my dad crazy. I have no I had no idea it existed. You can do that in VR. That would be awesome. I mean, that might even be worth $1,000 investment for a headset. You know, I don't know. Interesting. Well, I apologize. What's his name? Rod. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you. All right. Well,
You can start with 3D files that are already done too. There's a lot of free ones. Like if you're talking about a bull's head or something, it's going to be there. You can take that and use it in your things, so you can save a lot of time.
well, Chris, that's really what I've been doing. And there is a certain amount of modification you can do right in the slicers, and so as far as that goes, yes, I am using Orca slicer because I have a bamboo printer, and it's a combination of the Prusa slicer and the bamboo slicer. So it's kind of got a combination of both. It's open source instead of the bamboo slicer. So there's lots of extra things in it that the standard bamboo slicer doesn't have. And you're right. I mean, you can do some modifications. I scale, I add things, I subtract things. Those things are all really on the high level of just basically pushing a button and we're finding a box and understanding how that stuff works. But that's not creating, and that's where I think I'm trying to get to. Taking a blank page and saying, okay, I want to make a whatever, doesn't matter. But the simplest things are,
There's a lot of Blender tutorials on sculpting on YouTube. And it sounds like what you want to do is sculpt.
Well, I maybe I'm not sure if that's the word. Is that true? I mean, I want to
That's
take.
what it's called.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there it is.
Well, and Blender is a bear to learn. So be prepared to be patient. Yeah, it's insane. There is
Yeah.
another program called ZBrush you might want to look into for straight sculpting. That's I believe it's a little easier to use, but
That's the one I was thinking of.
I thought that was no longer out there.
I actually took a look at Mesh Mixer. I looked at it and went, "Oh my god!" That's as far as I got with it. But it is out there. I'm sure you can find it if you look for it.
Yeah, no, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still out.
Oh,
Yeah. I just curious how a guy, when you look at some of these products like the dragons, for instance, and they're all articulate. They're all composed of parts that are snapped together so that they move. And they're very look to me like it might be a nightmare to make, from scratch. How do you do that? How do you do just the blank page to, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, the other thing that interested the hell out of me are the 3D scanners. The entry levels are still expensive, but there are some of them out there right now that they're getting better by the year and more inexpensive by the year. But I think those are also something that very much intrigues me. And even those, as simple as they might sound, are not so simple in practice. You have to spray paint certain things with talcum powder and put dots around stuff. It's not as simple as just taking a picture of it and turning it into a 3D model. But they're out there, and those intrigue me too. I'd love to get my hands on one of them someday. So it's on my list. If anybody
They're coming
wants,
up with AI stuff. They're coming up with AI stuff now where you can give a keyword and it'll generate the 3D image for you.
yes, I saw that. What was that? Hackaday that did that? There was some article I read about that recently. Hackaday might have been the one about, yeah, just if you input the correct series of words into Chat GPT, it actually will spit out machine, G code for you if you're lucky. I was very much amazed at that. So, but that's the shortcut. That's the cheat way. But certainly out there, and I'm sure it'll get better. I hope it will get better anyway.
Yeah, I'm working on a couple of projects or a project that has to do with a yarn bowl that I started something for my sister a year or two ago, and all of a sudden I looked and I got one that I'm going to customize and offer personalization for. So that's one of my current projects. The other thing I'm going to get into is trying the trailer hitches with custom signs on them, because I got an auto accessory shop up the road and I can make a few and test them out. That's the next project. So well, so I've read a couple articles and got some information that, well, Amazon is something like 200 times bigger than Etsy, and I'm thinking I might try it on there where I can just drop ship them from Amazon orders and see, or I may try both right away. I don't know yet. I got to finish up tweaking it. I've got to print another one. I've been doing a series of test prints and have my sister, who's a big crocheter, try them out and see how, I got to tweak the whole way the yarn comes out and little things, but for personalization, one of the things I've learned to do on stuff is like in this case, this is a big item. It's like 11 inches long and 5 inches wide and about 6 inches tall. So for personalization stuff, what I like to do is work it out so I can print that separately on the bamboo and then glue it on or something where I don't have to. Because when you try printing color on big items on a bamboo, you're gonna have, well, bamboo wouldn't even do that. It's not big enough, but it just takes so long, all that filament swapping and stuff. So ideally, a Prusa XL would be perfect for something like this. But that's $4,000.
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely know.
Oh, can you put that back up for a second? I wonder. This is something you're doing? make 5 minutes infusion, and then mark it as what is it? 9 cents, $10 each, and he can't make them. I wonder how many he's selling in an order. 'Cause if you were doing, when you got a $10 item, again, it's the same thing. If you had 50 of those to ship out, well, yeah, but and whether or not he's paying shipping and stuff too, how much net or gross net is he making, you know? Um, I'm gonna put a, let me put this link in here. So I just put a link into a guy shop on Etsy that I know this guy on every week I meet on a fusion group on Tuesdays for an hour and a half with a group of about 20 or 30 people from around the world. Vladimir Marino runs that group. But if you came to his shop there, if you did get to it with that link, you see those tennis hooks and pickleball hooks and all that on there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it
Okay.
right now. Yep.
So here's what I'll give you guys. We ain't got much time here, but I'll give you guys. In fact, we may have to. We're going to run out of meeting time, aren't we? There,
Mhm.
Mike.
2 minutes.
Okay, well, if you got a couple minutes, so what they do is infusion. Another guy in the group that's helping them out. He set up a. Oh, what's going on with my sound?
You're back.
Okay, that was weird for a minute. Anyway, what they do is he's got a fusion script that when a customer places an order for that pickleball hook or one of those with custom name and a slogan on it, the script pops up and he enters the name, the slogan, the logo, boom, and it spits it out in Fusion ready to go
Yikes.
to send to the file.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, very, very slick.
That's what I
And
want.
well, and I'm that the scripting in it. This guy has written a few, and I played around with it, but I want to get into that because for those kinds of personalization, that's just ideal. I mean, it takes 5 seconds to enter it and it spits it and it puts it on the part and you don't have to worry about it. See, whereas when you got to get an infusion every single time and do the name and slogan. Yeah.
Yep, I gotta go. Thanks, Mike.
All right.
All right.
Have a good one.
Have fun.
Guys.
Bye.